All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to tackle one of the biggest questions you'll face when you're starting out in tech or data. Should I learn Python first, or should I learn SQL? I mean, this is something that trips up so many people. But don't worry. By the time we're done here, you're going to know exactly what each one is for and, more importantly, which one is the right place for you to start.
Okay, so you've decided to dive into the world of coding and data. That's awesome. But almost immediately you hit this fork in the road, right? You see these two names pop up everywhere, Python and SQL. You know they're both super important, but they also feel like they're from different planets. So the big question is, where do you even start? Well, let's break it down.
All right, first up, let's talk about Python. Probably the easiest way to wrap your head around Python is to think of it as a versatile creator. It's the language you pick up when you want to build something, from the ground up.
So, you're going to hear this term thrown around a lot, high-level language. And you might be thinking, okay, what on earth does that mean? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Think about it. Computers, at their core, only get one thing, ones and zeros. That's it. It's super low level. A high-level language, like Python, is designed to be way closer to how we talk. It looks a lot like English, which makes it way easier for us to write and understand. And then it has this cool little translator, it's called an interpreter, that takes our English-like code and turns it into the ones and zeros the computer can actually work with.
And honestly, this versatility, it's Python's superpower. It is not a one-trick pony. I mean, look at this list. You can build the brains for AI and machine learning. You can create the entire back end of a website, all the stuff that happens behind the scenes. You can dig into massive data sets for data science, write little scripts to automate all those boring, repetitive tasks you hate. And yeah, you can even build video games. So the main thing to remember is this. If you want to create something, if you want to build, Python is almost always your go-to. Okay, so that's Python. Now let's switch gears completely and talk about SQL. This is our expert data organizer. And here's the key difference right away. If Python is the creator, SQL is the librarian. It's not about building new things, it's all about managing and finding information that's already there.
To really get SQL, you have to appreciate the problem it solves. Just imagine, for a second, a world without databases. You've got piles and piles of messy paper files. Trying to find one specific piece of information? Good luck. It's total chaos. Well, a database, which is SQL's playground, is the fix for that. It's like a perfectly organized digital library. It takes all that chaos and turns it into something structured, efficient, and super easy to search.
So what is a database, really? At its heart, it's just an organized collection of data, something you can get to electronically. And that word organized is absolutely crucial. This isn't just a random data dump. Everything is structured on purpose to make it fast and useful.
And how do they organize it? Well, mostly in tables. They look a lot like a spreadsheet, right? You've got your columns here, like movie ID, title, director, that tell you what kind of information is in there, and then you've got your rows, and each row is one specific thing. In this case, one movie, like RRR. And this is where SQL comes in. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It is literally the language we use to talk to these tables. It's how we ask questions like, hey, database, find me this movie, or update this release here. It's our way of interacting with all this organized data.
Okay, so we've got the basics down for both. Now let's lock in the difference with a really simple analogy that I think makes it all click. It's the builder versus the librarian. So Python is our architect, our builder. It's what we call a general-purpose language, which just means it has a huge toolbox. You can build pretty much anything you can dream up with it. Now SQL is the librarian. It's a special-purpose language. It has one job, and it does that one job incredibly well, managing all the information in the library. See, you'd never ask a librarian to build you a house, right? But if you need to find one specific sentence in a million books, they're your person. That's SQL.
Let's even think about the words we use for each one. With Python, you're always talking about doing things. You build apps, you create websites, you automate tasks. But with SQL, the verbs are different. You ask questions, you find records, you manage data. And that's it. That's the core difference right there. Python is a language of creation, SQL is a language of questions.
Okay, enough theory. What does this stuff actually look like when you're typing it out? Is one of them going to be a huge pain to get started with? Let's find out. We're going to say our first words in each language.
Just look at this. The classic hello world. Even this tiny little command shows you everything you need to know about their different personalities. In Python, you type print hello world. You're telling the computer, hey, do something, print this out on the screen. In SQL, you type select hello world. You're not telling it to do anything, you're asking it a question. Hey, what's the result if I select this text? See that? It's subtle, but it's huge. One is a command to act, the other is a request for data. Totally different mindsets.
So how do you actually get started with Python? It's really pretty simple. First, you just install Python itself from their website. Easy enough. Then you open up a code editor. Think of it like Microsoft Word, but for code. And then you just create a file, make sure it ends in .py, type your print hello, and hit run. That's it. You're a Python programmer.
All right, what about SQL? The setup is pretty similar, but there's one key difference. With SQL, you first need the library itself, right? That's your database system, something like MySQL. And then you need a way to talk to the library. That's your client. Think of it as the librarian's computer, a tool like MySQL Workbench. That's where you type in your questions. From there, you just type your select query and run it. So really, getting started with either one is totally doable.
Okay, we've seen what they are, what they do, and that getting started isn't so scary. So now we get to the big question, the most important part. Which one should you learn first? And look, the answer has zero to do with which one is better. They're both amazing. It has everything to do with what you want to accomplish. It's about your mission. It honestly boils down to this simple choice. Choose Python if, deep down, you want to build stuff. If you have an idea for an app, or you want to make a process run by itself, or you want to create a machine learning model, you start with Python. It's the builder's tool. On the other hand, choose SQL if what really gets you excited is understanding data. If you want to dive into a massive database and pull out hidden secrets, find trends, and organize information to make it useful, if you want to be a data analyst or work with data, then SQL is your day one must-have skill.
So you see, in the end, the question was never really Python or SQL. It's more like, am I a builder or am I a librarian? Or, you know what? Maybe an even better question is, what problem am I excited to solve first? Because here's the secret. Almost everyone in this field ends up learning both. They're not enemies, they're partners. You use Python to build a cool application, and then that application uses SQL to talk to its database. They work together. So as you kick off your own journey, don't get stressed about making the perfect choice for life. Just ask yourself that one simple question. What problem do you want to solve right now? Your answer? Well, that's your starting line.